Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am starting another series. I feel like all my videos recently have just been me starting a new series, but that is because I'm starting to get more serious about this channel and actually uploading consistently. That's a thing you should do, and I'm trying to do that. And a part of that is starting a new series, and I actually have all my videos for the next 2 or 3 months completely planned out in a little notebook that I have. Everything's written down. So today's video, I am starting my makeup collection series where I basically just show you all the items in my makeup collection. Now this might be really boring to some people, but I love these type of videos. I don't know what it is, but it is so satisfying to see all the products that people have in their collection. People who have a lot of makeup obviously have a lot of makeup, and I would consider myself to have a lot of makeup, more makeup than the average person, but I don't have as much as big beauty YouTubers or even people who have thousands of subscribers. But I do have a sizable amount, so instead of making this one video where I show you my entire collection, I'm breaking it up into a series where I show you different categories of makeup in my collection. So today's mini collection video, I don't know what to call this, today's episode is my bronzer collection. Now, I only have 7 bronzers, but they are all bronzers that I love and use for different reasons, and I'm going to be showing them to you in almost chronological order, the order that I bought them. So the ones that I bought the longest time ago, I'm showing you first, and the ones that I got literally yesterday, I'll be showing you last. So let's get started. The first bronzer that I am going to be talking about is the Wet n Wild Color Icon Bronzer with SPF 15, and this is in the shade Ticket to Brazil. Now mine, okay, there's chunks falling out of it. This is so old. I have had this bronzer, I don't even want to show it to you because it's really gross. The cap is disgusting. I have had this bronzer for such a long time. It is 100% expired. This should not be in my collection anymore. It should be in the trash, but it doesn't break me out and it still applies and works really well. So that is why I am holding on to this until I absolutely cannot hold on to it any longer. This is just such a beautiful bronzer. It applies so well. It looks kind of orangey in real life. It's not really showing that orange on camera, but in the pan in real life it does look more orange, but when you apply it, it just gives you this beautiful glowy bronze. It doesn't have sparkle or shimmer particles in it, but it definitely is a little shimmery. This is a really good bronzer. I honestly think I've had this for 4 years. That's a really long time to have a bronzer, but it doesn't break me out and it still applies really well. The formula has looked the same. The only thing, I broke it, I think a week after I got it 4 years ago, so then I put it back together. The next bronzer I have a emotional connection to. Oh, this is 4 years old too. Oh my gosh. I'd say this is closer to 3 years old. When I was a sophomore in high school, my band went to Florida for spring break, Disney World to be exact. In the first 2 days, we spent kind of messing around Disney Springs, and I went to the Sephora in Disney Springs and I bought this bronzer, and I have loved it ever since. This is the Too Faced Sweethearts bronzer in the shade Sweet Tea. Now, it does come out. It has since fallen out, but this is such a beautiful bronzer. Once again, it kind of has the same effect as the last one, where in the pan it looks dark. This is probably the second darkest bronzer that I have. I love to wear this in the summertime, and what I'll do is I'll just spot conceal, throw this bronzer on everywhere, and it just looks so beautiful. I don't even know how to show you. I've had this for 4 years. I've used it so much, and there's not a huge dent in it. There's a dent, but like it's lasted me a really long time. The next bronzer is another Too Faced bronzer, and I have a hard time calling this a bronzer, but that's what it is, so that's the purpose I use it for. But it is very light. So this is the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Soleil Matte Bronzer in the shade Light Medium. Now, again, I can't show you the considerable dent I have made, but I love this bronzer. This is light. Clearly it is not like my skin tone light, but compared to like literally any other bronzer that I have, it is pretty light. And it's also more cool toned. It's still like not like a cool toned contour powder, but it's definitely more cool toned than the rest of the bronzers that I have. So I actually use this to contour a lot of time, but this is a beautiful bronzer. This is completely matte, but it doesn't look like flat and like dry on your skin. Like it definitely doesn't have any sort of shimmer on it. The next bronzer that I have is another drugstore bronzer, and this is the Milani Soleil Baked Bronzer. Now, when I first got this bronzer, I was like, oh my gosh, that is orange. I'm going to look like an orange. That is going to look terrible. That looks so dark. But this is a baked bronzer, and a lot of times baked like powder products aren't as scary as they seem. So like this comes off a lot less intense on the face than what it looks like in the pan. It is sparkly, like has these gold, like over here you can see like gold streaks running through it. I think this is really pretty. This one I do try to control the application. The next bronzer that I have is actually not a bronzer at all. It is a pressed powder, and I bought it to use as a bronzer, and I was very skeptical that it would actually work when I bought it. It is like the cheapest of the cheapest drugstore makeup that you can get, but I think it actually is beautiful as a bronzer. This is the LA Colors pressed powder in the shade Cocoa. Now I know what you're thinking, oh my god, that is so dark, but it's not. Like it applies so much lighter. It looks really similar actually to like this one, the Wet n Wild one. And I know what you're thinking, the color difference is crazy, but for some reason it just applies really lightly. My favorite way to apply this one is with this. This is the EcoTools airbrushed finishing brush, and I'll swirl this around, and it is like packed pretty firmly, so you can like go in and like load up your brush, and I'll just like blend it in circular motions over my cheeks, and I think that it looks really beautiful. The next bronzer, I feel like I don't actually need to talk about that much, just because everyone and their mother and their cousins and their fathers and their brothers owns this bronzer, because it is like one of those holy grail bronzers, products in general, that everyone has, everyone swears by. And I want to say I swear by this. It's not like my favorite bronzer in my collection, but it definitely is a really good bronzer, and it is the Hoola Benefit Bronzer. Right now, because it's winter, it can pull a little too dark on me, but in the summer, this is another one that I love to just like spot conceal and then blend it out all over my face. I think that it is such a beautiful bronzer. I occasionally use this to contour a little bit, like the whole bronzer thing, but I don't go crazy with it because again, it is like pretty warm tone. I know that people love to use this to contour their noses. Personally, I'm not someone who contours my nose. If anything, I'll just like kind of like put bronzer over it just to like make it look like it's not flat, but I don't like contour it to try to make it look skinnier because I feel like I don't really need it. But this is a really beautiful bronzer. Again, it is a matte bronzer, but it doesn't look so flat and like dry and crusty on your face, because I feel like there are some bronzers that do kind of pull that way. I feel like I don't even need to talk about it this much because it's Hoola bronzer. Everyone knows it, everyone loves it. This video is so short and sweet. Wow. The very last bronzer that I will be talking about is actually one that I got yesterday. I ordered this from Sephora about a week ago, but it is the Fenty Beauty it's upside down. The Fenty Beauty Sun Stalk'r Instant Warmth Bronzer in the shade Private Island. Now, I actually meant to get the shade, this looks really dark. I actually meant to get the shade Into Sun, which is like the shade that I feel like everyone uses, but I actually got the shade, I think it's just one shade darker, which is Private Island. And I was really scared I was gonna put this on and it was gonna be super dark, super pigmented, and make me look like orange and like I don't know how to apply bronzer. But it is actually so nice. It is, again, I feel like it's more firmly pressed, so when you put your brush in it, it doesn't explode everywhere, and when you start blending it out on your face, it actually gives a really nice blend. And what I did with this is I used that angled blush brush and like started back here, and then I would like blend in circular motions up and then around my forehead, and it just, I think it looks beautiful. I would compare this one definitely to Hoola. They are very similar. Obviously the Fenty one is just a little bit darker, but I would say honestly it gives the same effect that Hoola does. They kind of look the same on, and while this is darker, it is pressed harder than the Hoola bronzer is, so that is why they like give the same effect. So like this one's a little more powdery when you put your brush on it, and this one I don't think I got any kick up. This video was so short, and I feel like it was like nice and short and sweet and just gave you a little insight into the bronzers that I have in my collection. I feel like bronzers is one of those things that I'm very picky about. I know what I want my bronzer to look like in my head, so if I have a product and I start applying the bronzer and it isn't looking like what I look like in my head, I will blame it on the product even if it's not the product. So that is why my bronzer collection is very like small and minimalistic, if you can call having 7 bronzers minimalistic. It's more minimal than a lot of like bigger people's bronzer collections, but yeah, that is my entire bronzer collection. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that all these like starting series is not like weird. I don't think it is. And I hope you will subscribe and like this video and tune in next Saturday for a new video. That is all I have for you today. So I hope I will see you again. Bye.